Welcome, welcome to episode 2 of ChessWhiz Arcade, season 1, episode 2. We are programming a game called Uprising, and so far we have a chessboard, which is pretty exciting. Chessboards are nice, and we have a knight that's able to move around on the board, and that's it. And today we're going to add a lot more important things. Hopefully things are going to move a little bit faster today because the first episode we were setting up a lot of our environment and, basic stuff that you have to have, like sprite management. But once you've set up sprite management, you don't have to set that up again. You can just add sprites and use them really easily. So some of that work has been done now for us, so it's going to be a little bit quicker. I did it for us, so yeah, you know what I mean. It's going to still be a little bit slow. There's a few things we don't have yet, like everything happens instantly in the game. When you press the key, the knight moves instantly. I would like a nice smooth move animation, so we'll probably add that first before we add the bad guys. But the main point of this is going to add bad guys. It might come in part 2 or part 3 of this episode, but it's all going to happen right here, right now. So let's make it happen. Let's go to the screen view and see the entire desktop of ChessWhiz. Wow, look at that. Can I win $5? No. No. Okay, so we're going to close this tab, 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 and close this tab. And now we are getting our Visual Studio game on. ChessWhiz.sln is the solution for this game. Here it comes. And let me go invisibly for a moment while I plug in my devices so they don't run out of batteries. So batteries are a blessing and a curse. The blessing part is obviously that you can do things remotely. The curse part, that you have to plug them in when the batteries run out. Infinite batteries would really solve that problem. Maybe I should invent that. So here we are on the game solution. So let's run this thing, running it now, and then browse to it in the browser, localhost, because it's running on localhost. If you saw episode 1, you know exactly where we are. Otherwise, you didn't and don't. But I'm going to get you started up here. We're at chesswiz.tv. Click on arcade here, and then play now. So this is what we have right now. There's a knight, and you can move it around the board like this with the keyboard. And I actually set up keys. I did a couple of things while you guys were waiting for episode 2. One of the things I did was add support for the Q, ASD, ASDF keys. So if you put your hand on WASD, not ASDF, WASD, the WASD keys for first-person shooters, you move around with your fingers like that. Well, now you move around with your fingers like that in this game. So it's the keys all the way from Q, W, E, A, D, Z, X, and C, because knights are hard to move around. So let's move up that way. Another thing I did was I improved the sprite. One thing we battled with last episode was getting a really good looking pieces image, so I did that in between episodes. Now you can see really beautiful king, queen, rook, bishop, knight, pawn. This is high def 128 by 128 pixel grid. So I know it's cheating to do programming between episodes, but I feel like those are pretty small things, and since I told you about them, I'm okay with that. The first thing I'm going to do is take out support for the non-numpad keys, because nobody is ever going to move a player around using the numpad. So we're up and running. What are we going to program? Well, let's get our to-do list. There's the Twitch chat. Let's put it up there. There's the Trello. So we want to add mouse support. I think I want to add mouse support first. So do I drag this to in progress? I've never really used Trello before, but this is a in progress. And let's put it down here. Okay, cool. This is like a task management program. And I got some great feedback from Todovsky, a.k.a. Music Dan, telling me to track my work. So look at that, I'm doing it, and I'm adding mouse support. So we're going to add mouse support right now. What is that going to take? Well, I want to make it so that where's the chessboard? When you mouse over a square, the knight moves there if it can. And I want to do mouse over so you don't have to do a lot of clicks, because in an arcade game, you move a lot. You move a lot, unlike in a chess game where you just move once per turn. So I don't want to be like click, 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 click. That's going to wear out your clicky finger. I want to make it just mouse over d4, and the knight instantly moves to d4. So let's see if we can do that. Now, I'm programming blind in a sense that I haven't looked this up, but I think that I can do that pretty easily by going, grab my canvas. This code runs at the beginning of the page load. This is jQuery that runs right at the start. I'm going to find my main canvas. This is my jQuery element now, and then on mouse over. And look at that. There's a mouse over event. So mouse up, no, out, no, leave, move. Mouse move actually is probably going to be it, because mouse over triggers once when the mouse moves over. That's not good enough. Mouse move triggers every time the mouse moves, and so that's going to be really often. And so now we need to pass in a function, and we'll actually pass in world. Do we have a world here? I think we need to switch the world to be a global, actually. because there's only going to be one. It's going to be a singleton. So let's open up our scripts folder. Arcade. Common. Globals. So I've got some globals here. I've got a keyboard manager. There's obviously one of those. I'm putting my singletons in globals here. So this is going to be the world equals new world. Now maybe that's a bad idea because I need to pass some things into the constructor, but right now I don't. So we're going to hope that it stays that way. I'm on the fence about that. I guess I won't do that yet. I won't do that yet. I'll keep this world. I'll just add the mouse move stuff below my world creation because obviously I can't. Keyboard. Can't reference my world before it's created. And now mouse support. So this is going to be main canvas.mouse move, and then I'm going to make a function in the world.mouse move equals function. Function e, that's the event, and then it's going to call world.mouse move. Pass that in. So JavaScript programming is a little bit weird. Everything's loosely typed, and you can actually pass functions into functions, and you do that a lot. So this is going to say whenever the mouse moves, I'm going to call world.mouse move, and it's going to be capitalized, which is kind of weird. So now let's open up the world and create that. Function. Where's my world? Oh, I put it on this side. Let's put it on the right. World should always be on the right. So for those of you guys watching because you are watching ChessWhiz TV, if you're bored by this, because programming is pretty boring, I would recommend you actually just not watch because it needs to be interesting. Otherwise, it's going to be boring. So if you want to learn to program or learn somewhat about how like a game is made, that kind of thing, or if you know about programming and you want to watch ChessWhiz program, that's what you'd be watching this for. But you can benefit from this without watching. What you do is simply play the game after it's made, but it's not made yet, so you're gonna have to wait for that. Let's get back to the full screen view. Is this full screen now? Let's see. Yes, okay. So the world.mouse move equals function e. And I actually think I'm gonna have trouble referencing the world, so I'm gonna put this inside the world. And this is something I ran into last episode where the object this needs to reference the world itself, which it does here. Like this .board references world.board. But when you come in from a document from a mouse move, then this is going to reference this HTML object, which is going to totally throw it off. That dot, and these could all be that dot, which I will actually change them all to that dot, which with that cool shortcut right there. That dot mouse move equals function. E is the event that comes in with the mouse move. And then return that. So let's see if this works without any bugs or errors. Is the solution downloadable somewhere to review? Ask Surfiat. No, the source code is not available to the viewers right now because it takes me a lot of work to make it, and I kind of want to own it in that sense. So this is a commercial broadcast that I'm providing for free, and it works. So ask me really nicely for the source code, and maybe I'll provide the source code to the supporters of ChessWhiz TV. That would be a great way to let one person support long enough to get the source code and then have it bled out to the entire universe because somebody violates their agreement. That's the way life goes sometimes. So we've got this function. Now we want to say, actually, I've got another project here that's going to easily pull out the coordinates of the mouse move and turn them into the grid. And I've got that in this. So this is my template that has another game I wrote a long time ago. And so I'm stealing a little bit of code from it, namely get chords. Get coordinates from pixel. This is going to be a really useful function. Product get chords for pixel, pixel x, pixel y. So I can now use that to get the coordinates on the grid. So I'm going to set a breakpoint here on x equals 1. So I can see if I can access that and how it's going to work, what x and y are. So sources, this is my JavaScript debugger. And I need to get into content, no, into scripts. I want to get to the world file. It's not in common, it's in Uprising. World, okay, and now I can put that breakpoint there. How weird, it doesn't have a line in there. That's weird because it's in there. So let's refresh the page. And now it does, okay. So, oh, it hit that breakpoint. Did you see that? So now it's not hitting it. As soon as I mouse move in, boom, this function is called and mouse move is hit. And so now I want to see what the E object has in it. And it has I'm looking for like X and Y. Obviously, page X, page Y, offset X, offset Y. Those seem pretty useful. Then there's screen X and screen Y. Let's see what screen X is. So I'm going to mouse move into the very corner. So this should be near 0. Is it near 0? No, 386. So that's coordinates from the screen. That's not going to be useful. Let's try page X. That's not near 0 either. Let's try offset X. That is 0. So I think that is actually, let's do way down here. That's actually the number I want. No, because that's 2. Oh yeah, because it's X. So let's try offset Y. Way down there, 429. Great. So I think that that is the coordinate that we want, offset X and offset Y. So board where equals this dot get coords from pixel e dot offset X e dot offset Y. Now this is going to call this other function, which I pass in the X and Y of the pixel, which is where I pull that out of, and I'm going to return a new object with X and Y. BG canvas is going to be the board canvas, because I've named the board canvas in this project. And map X and map Y. Now that is something constant here in this other globals. That's the size of the board, which is obviously board size X, which is 8, because chessboards are 8. So board size X and board size Y. And divided by 2 tile size. So now tile size is actually square size. And I'm going to call it square size, so this needs to be square size here. So I'm stealing this code, which basically calculates X and Y. Alert. I'm going to alert X and Y. So I can see what they are. Okay, so let's go see what that is. So it's going to tell me I moved into 1, 0, 0. Oh, I didn't refresh very well. Let's take the breakpoint out and see if it works. X is not defined. That's because it's square.x. It's square.y. I should call it the target or something like that because it's where the mouse moved, but let's see how this works. 0, 0. There it is. I moved into 0, 0. Now let's try 0, 3. That's not correct. 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 2. So it's thinking the squares are really big. 3, 0. So it thinks the board is 3 by 3 somehow, so my math is wrong. Let's see. Let's fix this. Pixel X minus. I think the best way to do this is to see it in the debugger. No, let's see it when I do 0, 3. So pixel Y is not defined, so let's just mouse over it. Come on. Because I don't want to actually type it with no typos. That's too much stress. 417 divided by 128 is 3. So that's why it's 3. So 417 is not big enough. I'm confused why offset Y is only 417. Clearly, it's way more than that. Oh. I know what the problem is, guys. This section right here, between here and here, is not, this is not 128 pixels because it's being scaled by the size of the browser. It's actually smaller than that. See, because it scales itself. Whoops, I just moused over again. Thank you, thank you. See, now it's bigger, now it's smaller. So I need to adjust by the actual size of the canvas, and so canvas.width, I would think that would actually work. Let's see what this says. Let's mouse over one more time and be like, this dot board canvas width 1024. So that's not right because if I make this really small, then it's still 1024. So that's not the right parameter. Let's try. I want to access the actual visible width. So that's going to be. Look at this, every HTML element that exists ever. Which one of these is the real width? There's a bunch of events with on prefixes. Well, nothing like the internet. HTML element width from JavaScript. How to retrieve an element's actual width and height. Oh, thank you, Stack Overflow. You should use .offsetWidth and .offsetHeight properties. They belong to the element, not .style. Let's try that. I love the internet. It's so helpful. Not there, over here. Okay, so board canvas .offsetWidth. What do you think it's going to be? 500. So that's exactly right. So I don't know why this code that I copied in was not offsetWidth. It's a capital W, and offsetHeight. So that's the fix, and that's going to make everything look correct. Let's try it now. Don't need the breakpoint because we're going to see the alerts. 2.2. Oh, that doesn't seem right. And over here is 2.5. That's way wrong. Here I was thinking, so it's added 2 to it, kind of. Let's put that breakpoint back in. Offset width is 500. That seems like this is about 500 pixels. All right, let's see how tall it is really. See, 500 by 500. So 500 is correct. So what's wrong with the math? Pixel x offset width. This math is way wrong. Why am I doing all this parentheses stuff? I should not have trusted this code. I don't even understand it. Okay, so let me just think through how this is actually going to work. I'm going to take the real number and I'm going to divide it by the offset width. Right? Pixel x. Let's try this. X is actually pixel x divided by the offset width. Divided by the square size. So look at it this way. Look at it this way. This is 500 and this is 128. So you do that division and you get 4, which can't be right. That would be like, square size is not right. Divided by board size x. So 128, 500 divided by, so this is 500 divided by 8, which is how many pixels per square. And then I divide that by that and I take the floor of it to round down. And we don't use that. That other math was so wrong. I can't even believe that math existed. Because this is the way you're supposed to do it. Offset height. I should never have used that code. It's going to be way better now. I don't want that. I just want to see the answer. 0, 0 is correct. Stop hitting that breakpoint. 0, 0, 0, 0, and over here, 0, 7. So that's which is actually correct because 0 to 7 is the range. And 6, 7, 7, 7, 7, 0. So that worked. That worked. Now we actually know that we're mousing over the correct spaces. So ignore this wrong code. That's totally wrong. RPX fam says, copies old code and then can't get out of the alert. Copies old code, doesn't remember logic of old code. Definitely facepalm. Don't know where that old code came from, but I don't trust it. So this is way better. So now I can get, I don't need to alert that. Now I have the x and y. So now I want to say, can the knight move to that player, to that square? So I'm going to actually create a new class called player. I thought this over between episodes, and I thought we really need player.s. I know you guys can't see the menus, so you'll have to trust me that I'm typing player.js. There, I did. See, it's there. And now I want to include that in my index page. Not that index page, in this index page. I'm going to put the player in before the world, after the piece, after the board. I'll put it right here. Okay. And it's going to be just like the knight. I actually don't think I want this inheritance, but maybe I do. Not sure. So a player is going to have a piece. It's going to be exactly like a piece, actually. But this is what a player is, and piece equals piece. So this allows the player to have more properties than just itself, just the piece's properties. A piece is like a chess piece on the board. The knight is one of them, but the player can do more things than just that. So what else can it do? we're working on adding a function to this called can move to, and it should be small. And this says, can you move to this XY location from where you are? Actually, this doesn't need to be on the player. It can be on the piece. So put that in the piece. It's kind of funny that I just created player and I'm not going to use it, but that's the way things go sometimes, like right now. Piece.prototype.can move to. So if you can move here, it's going to return true. Otherwise, it's going to be return false. I'm not representing a chessboard, improving skill. He's criticizing me for not knowing how to represent a chessboard, but I'm not representing a chessboard because we're not playing chess. It's an arcade game. So instead of having like, oh, it's B2, what's in it? Oh, it's empty. Oh, it's C2, what's in it? It's empty. I'm just having a list of pieces. And so if it's there, it's there. And if it's not, it's not. It allows it to be a little bit more free-flowing. You can have two pieces in the same square, that kind of stuff, which is going to be important. Two pieces will often be in the same square in this video game. If for... I want to bring the knight thing back. I want to bring all the logic in knight out into piece. I don't want inheritance because it's not that useful and it adds quite a bit of complexity. So here is all the knight moves. Oh. If type if I'm a knight, then obviously I will loop through the knight moves. This is why you would use inheritance, so you don't have to have all the other kinds of moves here. But not a lot of pieces are going to move, only knights. So if cos x plus knight. So here I'm looping through all the different moves, and I say if I make this move and I'm at that square, then I can move there, otherwise not. Knight moves of... This is just going to be I because JavaScript loops are dumb. I.x is equal to x. It's so confusing. This should be destination x and destination y. Because otherwise I'm really going to confuse myself. Destination x and position y, add in the knight moves dot ith knight move, which is the ability of that move, is equal to destination y. Then you return true, which means yes, you can move there. Otherwise, return false, which happens if you loop through everything and don't return. And now you've got red squigglies outside of the function. I don't believe you. I think it's inside the function. How dare you say it's outside the function? Oh. There. Now it's inside the function. That's the way you write functions in JavaScript sometimes. Sir Fiat asks, I'm new here. I think I need to watch the first video to understand what's going to be built. I would say no, don't do that, Sir Fiat, because it's kind of slow because we're setting up all the kind of structure around the program. You don't have to watch it unless you actually want to see how I got to this point with the knight moving around by the keyboard. Otherwise, you don't need to. But I will tell you what we're making is a video game where you move the knight around, and I think we're really close because we're going to drop knight.js. We're going to actually take this code out and put it in piece. I'm going to say piece.prototype.move. This is a function that actually moves the piece, and I'm moving it out of the child, and it equals this. Because then I don't need this inheritance, which is kind of nice. This becomes this, just double checking this code, make sure this will work, and can move to exists. So now everything should be good. I can delete knight.js because we're not going to use the inheritance. And player.js can set. So I've saved all. Let's make sure that this knight still moves around. I need to take the alert off. Wait, I think I did. So let's refresh. Okay, so it's crashing. That's good. Unexpected token parentheses in knight.js. That's weird because knight.js shouldn't exist. So let's go delete it from here. Knight.js, you're gone. Okay, let's try again. And there's still an unexpected token on line 19 of world. Oh, I kind of left some code hanging there, didn't I? Let's try again. Knight is not defined. Where are you getting that? Okay, it's world.js line 13. I'm actually going to push a new player, not a new knight. Boom, there's the chessboard and the knight doesn't appear. So this is kind of bad that I refactored right in the middle of my new feature. It's because of my draw loop. I loop through all the players and I'm drawing the player.type, and it should be .piece.type because each player has a piece, but it also has other things. So now it should drop. There it is, and let's see if it moves. It doesn't. This .players o.move is not a function. That's right. I have to move the piece because I put it inside the piece. Now does it work? Now it works. Okay, and how about mouse over? So now I've got the function that says whether you can move somewhere or not. Plugin for Chrome, whenever you save some file, page automatically reloads. That sounds really cool. Let me get that right now. SRXXAA, link me. Send me that. Okay, so we now need to call that function. It's just, this is going to be really easy, actually. The destination equals there. If players, let's loop through all the players. No, let's just move player 1. We don't really know who we're moving, so we'll move player 1. If players dot, that's the first player, because there's only player 1. You can't move both players with the mouse. They can't both have their hand on the mouse. So I'm okay with saying player 1 is the mouse. And then dot piece dot pen move to destination x destination dot y. And players dot piece dot move. There. There might be a shortcut to say, well, if can move to is true, then just move there, but I might want a function that says check it and then don't move there. So let's try it. Players is not defined. I forgot this dot, which happens super often, like every 5 minutes. I forget that. So I've received a tip. It says go to Chrome instructions and search for live reload. Live reload Chrome extension. Live reload. Okay, so I'm going to install this. It's going to live reload me. Add. I am so good at protecting myself from viruses. Sign into Chrome to get this extension on all my devices. I don't think I need that. Now what makes it happen? Nothing, right? It just goes. Okay. Now I get a new error. POSX is not defined, and that is in piece.js line 45. Where's my line numbers? By the way, you can add line numbers. Just go to Tools, Options, Source Control, Environment, Text Editor. Did I say Source Control? JavaScript, line numbers. There we go. Line 45. It's kind of weird that I've called it. This should be okay, but POSX needs to be this dot POSX. Oh, I forgot my this dot. My code didn't work. Let's try it now. No errors. Bam! Okay, it kind of worked, except no, it went the wrong direction. Okay, so this is a great feature. When you mouse over a square, it goes to a different square. That would be buggy programming right there. Why is that happening? I don't know. We'll be able to fix that in no time. Get coordinates from pixel. I think I'll just add the alert. Oh, I know why. That's pretty funny. When I call move, piece.move, where's piece? Piece.move is not receiving a destination x and y. It's receiving a direction. And that's not okay. I actually want to pass in x and y. Oh, is that okay? Can you just move anywhere at all times? Yes. Yes, this is a cheater game. You can just teleport yourself if you can call the right function. And in this case, you can do that. You can just move anywhere always. So that's going to break something else, which is this move function. Oh, no, that's not going to work. I don't want to pass in the direction because I don't have the direction. Fine. And I will pass in the direction. Here's what I'm going to do. Here, I'm going to return I and say the direction that you can move is I, and it will get you there. Otherwise, I will return false, which is super not okay. So I'll return -1. Return 1. This is not okay programming. You can't just make a function that half the time returns a number, and the other half of the time it returns. It doesn't return anything, right? It returns 0, which is not a move. But that's what we're doing. So how buggy can you get? Let's see how buggy you can get. So now when you move in a direction, that works. And when you go this way, we're going to say we're going to change can move to into get direction. And that means you're getting the direction that is going there. I don't need players right now. I need peace. So it'll return the direction that will get you there. Otherwise, it returns 0, which means you can't get there from here. Direction, which means if it's not 0, automatically, and then it will move in the direction. So this will work. This will work on the first try, and the knight's going to move. Ready, crash. Unexpected token parenthesis. Too many parentheses. Fix that. Mouse move works! Mouse move works! It took way longer than I expected, but it totally works. Check it out. Move there, move there, move there, and this is way less confusing than before. Yeah! Okay. Then mouse move works perfectly, and you can't move off the board. So I should probably make sure you can't move off the board when you're using the keyboard, because right now you can. See? See that? You can move right off the board. I'll get back here. So I need to prevent that, so we're going to prevent that very quickly. I'm sure it'll be quick. I'm just going to put world on the left here, and then I can mess with all this other stuff on the right. If is greater than or equal to 0, and, oh. This is kind of hairy. This is a lot of logic. Why is this so hard? I don't know. First, I'm going to say that's the destination. This might all change later, but for now, this is the way it's going to work. Which says the destination square is the current position plus the x, and the destination square is the current position plus the y. And if des x is greater than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 0, less than 0, or is more than board size x, which is called board size x, good name for it. Don't need all that. Or, so there's going to be 8, and the destination can be 7. So equal to is still bad, because 8 equals 8, that's bad because you're off the board, because it's 0 indexed. So, and then I'll just copy and paste all this again. Or if destination y is less than 0, or destination y is greater than or equal to board size y, then return. This is not the way you should code, by the way. Don't put returns in the middle of your functions, because that makes the logic very confusing. You're like reading down here, like, when does this run? Oh, there's a return up there. So the way to fix this is to say greater than or equal to and I'm going to copy the double and symbol because it's so hard to type. Okay, is less than board size x, and destination y is greater than or equal to 0, and destination y is less than. Then you can actually run this code this way. So this is the proper way to program, to put it in a separate semicolon. See? Now there's no return in the middle of the function. So let's see if that works. Moving around, didn't move off. Didn't move off that side, didn't move off that side, didn't move off that side, and didn't move off that side. Okay, so it works now. Keyboard and mouse works. So now we go to the to-do list and we say mouse support. Cha-ching! Done! Excellent. What happens next? Dragging and dropping is more natural, but this is a video game where moving fast is important. I'm reading the chat here. Okay, so what am I making is the question in chat. I'm making a video game where you move the knight. This is a video game. It's an arcade game, and you can play it yourself by browsing to chesswiz.tv, and then /arcade, and you can play this game. Not much to it yet, but it's going to be great. And look how you can move so fast. So the problem now is the person with the fastest mouse wins, because you can just move your mouse fast. So we need to rate limit this guy. After he moves, he needs to be tired for a little bit. Then we'll add the bad guys right after this. First, he needs to be tired, and then he can move again. And the way we'll represent the tiredness is that he will slide across the screen. So right now it's chunk, 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 chunk. I want to make it so that when you mouse over here, the knight is like done, and then animated. Animated is the word. So how are we going to do that? It's not going to be as hard as you think. First of all, we need to save the position of the knight where it is, not like where its destination is, which is right now where it is, but also. So this is the piece file. Let me just check this in to my source control, because I just added a feature. Added mouse support. Check in. Nice. Okay. So next thing to do is to add that animation. So I have my position X and my position Y. I also want to have my paint X. I can't type square. So the paint X is where it's actually going to be painted on the screen, which might not be where it is because it's sliding. And the other thing about this is that it's not locked to the grid. It's not 0 to 7 for the chess squares 1 to 8. It is instead by pixel. So if you increase this by 1, the knight is just going to go, it's not going to go over by a whole chess square. So that's good because it needs to be able to slide between squares. So it's going to start out at the current position times the square size. So to expand by the number of pixels, that's going to expand it out. So now when I draw it, when I paint it, I call it draw. Most people call it paint. So that's, I'm trying to call it paint, be like most people. It's really draw. Instead of being like location times square size, I'm just going to paint it at the paint X and at the paint Y without multiplying by square size. So that's going to work the same, I anticipate. Except it will never move now. It's the only downside. So now the paint X is starting out here, but when it moves, paint X is not being updated because paint X is still over here. So I'm moving the knight around right now. You just can't see it because paint X is not changing. But now we just simply need to update paint X. So where's my update loop? Here's my update loop. It says right now all it does is draw, but it's also going to update the paint X, which is update position of all moving players. Okay, there's a comment. Here we go. It's a loop. I remember this dot. I'm looping through all the players. How fast should they move? Great question. Maybe just 1 pixel at a time. We'll start with 1 pixel at a time, which is going to be really slow, and then we'll speed it up. This dot players, this dot players, this is the current player that I'm indexing, dot position dot paint X. We want to update this plus equals, and it's going to move by, we need to find the difference between where it is now and where it needs to be. We'll call that the gap. The gap between where it is and where it needs to be equals, and this is going to be the paint X minus this whole thing. I hate JavaScript. Any other language, I would just be able to be like I dot, and I wouldn't even call it I. It'd be so much better. This dot players I dot pos X times square size, because it's actually has to be expanded out. So let's say I'm position 2 and I've just moved over to position 0. So I'm gonna multiply this out and say, okay, I'm at 128 and my paint X, oh, I moved to 0. So now I need to, yeah, that'll work. That'll come out as a number, which is how far away it is in pixels. So let's do this for Y as well, for the Y coordinate. And now this is going to be gap X is the gap that it's missing. So just to demonstrate that, I'm gonna just plus equals gap X. This is fun to play around with. So right now I'm just going to go the entire gap in one move and just see if I've got a bug in here. Bam! Doesn't work. Maybe it's because I don't think it's because I put X there. I can't move yet. Let's see exactly what's wrong by debugging this. Chessboard can be a little smaller so I can see a little more code here. My update loop, it's going to hit it constantly, which is annoying. Can I do a conditional breakpoint? Only if this expression is true. Gap x greater than 0. Yeah! And it's never greater than 0. You would think that it would move, but it doesn't. Let's try a real breakpoint and just look at these variables. Can I please mouse over? I'm so annoyed why I can't do that. Let's see what this is. Q this is not a function. Not a number. So paintx is not a number. That could be the problem, and the whole thing's becoming not a number. Why isn't it a number? Should be. Oh, it's .piece dot. I'm so stupid. Nobody in chat told me that either, because you guys all, your eyes are glazed over. So it's the piece that owns the position, and it's the piece that owns the paint. So that'll fix everything. Now, there it is, 256. Okay, draw that thing. Bam. Okay, so it ran off in the wrong direction. What we learned from that is I need to subtract, not add. Which means I would really like to just swap these around, actually. Because a minus b is the same as b minus a negative. Because I would rather add my thing, not subtract it. And this should be y. Great. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, so it does the entire distance all at once. But now we get to play around with movement, with, what's it called? I don't even know the name of it, but it's like I need to go from here to here. Instead of going, I go like this, you know? So like, let's divide this by 10. And it'll go 10%. It'll go 10% every frame. This will be so cool. 10%. Oh yeah! Is that awesome or what? Yom, yom, yom. Is that cool? It's kind of not cool. I don't think I want something that goes 10% per frame because it's a little too slidey. I think it's pretty cool though. I mean, I'm having fun just moving it around. I think the show has just become ChessWhiz TV Knight Slider. Because I'm not going to program anymore. I'm just going to slide this knight around. So we've learned something. It's too slow. And the second thing is it needs to not be able to move while it's still moving. So let's go to the move function and say, I'm moving right now. No, I'm not, because I just was constructed. Now I am moving. We're going to move in whole pixels. So I'm saying if you're moving by a tiny amount, then you're not moving. And you're not allowed to move if you're moving. Let me read in the chat here. You're not allowed to move if you're moving, so where do I put that in? Obviously in move. If you're moving, you can't move. I think this is probably going to be too... Yeah. See how long it takes to come in to the destination? Because it's like, oh, I'm still sliding. I'm not less than 0.01. I'm still going by tiny amounts of pixels. Still moving. Yeah, that's totally erratic and unpredictable. So instead, we're going to say that We need to change this to be actually we're going to make a constant speed, and we're going to say the piece speed is 3 units. It's actually going to be 12 units. Wow, 12 units. So now we're going to move by 12 units instead of by 10%. And I think that's going to be, not only will that be linear, but we won't get these weird fractions. Think about this a little bit. Paint x adding, instead of adding by this, I'll just add by. If gap x is greater than 0, then move up by piece speed. Otherwise, move up by negative piece speed. And the same thing for gap y. So if you still need to go forward, then go forward. Otherwise, go backward. That could work. Let's try it. Oh, wow. You can't not hold still, can you? I think the problem here is that if gap x is 0, then it doesn't move. So this is super confusing logic. But I'm going to say if it's more than 0, then move by a piece speed. Otherwise, if it's less than 0, then move by negative speed. Otherwise, don't move. No, that's stupid. Because no one can read this code, and code obfuscation is not my goal. If gap x is greater than 0, or gap y is greater than 0. No, this isn't going to work. It's still going to jump if something's moving straight. So I don't like that. So I'm actually going to go back to this. Code obfuscation for the win! It's less than 0. Negative piece speed. Or nothing. At least I'll put parentheses around it. Now it says if it's positive, go up. If it's negative, go down. Otherwise, don't go. And it's always going by 12, which might be a good amount, 12 pixels. No, this is bad too. Well, I really need to think this through, because it's not moving in a straight line. It's moving diagonally because it always moves 12 units. And I wanted to move in a straight line. No knights ever move like that. I mean, talk about a bad experience for this knight. It's going to get a headache for sure, although it is kind of fun to watch. Can you move? No, now you're stuck. So I need to think of it instead as how many frames until it gets to its destination. And we're going to say that it takes a quarter of a second to move. 1,000, 2,000, dun 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 dun. Seems reasonable. So we're going to say that it is 0.25, which means it takes a quarter of a second, which means it takes 15 frames because it's a 30 frames per second game. So try number 2 is gone. We're not going to move that way. Instead, we're going to say gap x. This is some math now. Divided by 15. And I'm going to go math.floor. I'm going to go math.ceiling. I'm going to round this up so that if it's almost there, then it will get there in the last pixel. So here's the new solution. Of course, it's not 15 piece speed. This is wrong too. This is going to go back to. This is going to go back to the other way where it's fast and then slow. I don't think detecting the gap is the right solution. I don't think detecting the gap is the right solution at all. Instead, I need to say I'm moving from this square and to this square. So tick, 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 tick. And when I'm here, I need to know that I came from there. Because, well, it comes to an interesting point here. And the point is, what if a queen is moving from A1 to H1? Or what if a queen is moving from A1 to B1? Slow. Is it going to take 7 times longer to go 7 squares than 1 square? Yes. The answer is yes, it will. So the speed needs to be constant. So the problem is actually that we're moving a knight, which moves a different amount x than y, which isn't fair. Other than that, we're pretty good. Boy, I should have figured out how I was going to do this before I was streaming, because now everybody's just going to watch me struggle to get the correct functionality on here. Well, let's look at it this way. Here's my calculator. I need to move 128 pixels. And so if I move 12 pixels per move, then that is not a whole number. But if I move 16 pixels per move, that is a whole number. So I'm going to move 16 pixels per move. And that's 16 pixels across. But the tricky part is, the knight is going to actually move like this, where it's going to go here, the knight is going to go here, and here. And I can't solve that. And that's obnoxious. Let's go back to this logic. Why does it jump? Oh. Okay, so I can make this 16 and then it will stop jumping, but it will also come to rest off center. Maybe I'll figure this off. No, it's not even doing it then. No. Maybe I'll figure this out when I'm not streaming. Because I don't even know why it's jumping around now. Why are you shaking back and forth? Obviously, you're going to stop shaking. Oh, but you're still going to keep... Math.min. So what I'm doing here is saying if you're less than the piece speed away, then don't move the whole piece speed, just move by the gap. So the problem was it was a little bit to the left and it was moving the whole piece speed, and then it was way much too far to the right. So then it was moving the whole piece speed, and that's why it's vibrating. So we need to actually move the distance back and forth. And that is going to make it stop vibrating and start working. Okay. It worked great on the first move, but something's wrong with the second move now. Something's wrong with it going upward. It can go downward just fine. It can't go to the left. It can go down and to the right, but it can't go up. One of these is negative. It's negatives. Getting some advice here. Perhaps the knight needs a towel. Why not just unlock when it reaches the destination? Yeah, I already know that, and I'm already unlocking when I reach the destination. I'm going to rewrite this whole thing later, because I don't like the way it is structured. But I want to actually get it to work so I can start putting bad guys on the board, and then I can go back and refactor it later. So the only problem now is sometimes this is positive and sometimes this is negative. Which just means I can't. Which means I can't, the chat's distracting me. Zagatic says, stop before you tinker with the very fabric of reality. Of course I can't program with you saying things like that. course I can't. So, come on, just write some code that works. Thinking, I can do even more logic here. I can say if it's going down, if okay. So if gap x is more than 0, it's a positive number. Otherwise, it's a negative number. And sign y, this is so bad. I don't know why anyone would need this many variables. So now this tells me positive if it's positive and negative if it's negative. So now I've got the direction. So now I can say absolute value math dot absolute value of gap x. So I'm solving my negative and positive problem by getting the absolute value of this number. So it's always positive. That's what absolute value does. So if it's -3, it'll become +3. And then I compare, and then I take the smaller one, which is actually correct. This is always positive. So then I actually take the direction, the distance, and I multiply that in times the sign, x. So this will fix it, but it's so nasty. But we're on camera. See? Totally fixed. See, watch this. Totally fixed. And now this way, yeah. Wow, this is working so well. So apparently it always goes down and to the right. If you need it to go down and to the right, it'll do that for you. Otherwise, it'll also go down and to the right. Doesn't seem like the feature I wanted. Oh. Distance x now already has the correct sign on it, so I don't have to do this fanciness. Hey, I just simplified my code. That's what I'm talking about. Just use peek and poke. Hey, it works now, guys. So this is not the way knights move, but I'm not really sure how to make it move slower in a direction. You know what I mean? And it works with the keyboard too, as soon as I click. Okay, as you can see, it works great. And it's a little slow, I think. But I can change this to 20, and it will instantly speed up. Pretty nice, okay. So that's not how knights move, and I realize that. I'm really obnoxified that it moves like that, but I'm not sure. You know, I want to make the knight move exactly like this, not down and then over. But if I do that, then pieces that are moving longer will move quicker when they're moving more distance, and that's not what I want either. But anyway, the knight works now, so now let's add some bad guys to the board. Right, and it doesn't move. You can't move faster than that. Now I should actually store the next move. I should queue the moves, and I should do that right now. So pew pew. Right? Because when you use the keyboard and you hit that key twice, you want it to queue that move. So I can do that really easily. Add a new feature, which is this next direction. Nothing. I think I'll use null. So if you're moving and you want to move a direction, then this dot next direction equals direction. This dot next direction equals direction. So that's going to store the next direction. Cool. And now I want to, when I'm done moving, then obviously what I'm going to do is add a semicolon. When I'm done moving, I'm going to move in the direction of this dot next direction. And then I'm going to also clear out next direction. Now I should probably have a whole queue so that you can queue up multiple moves. So let's just do that right now. Show off my amazing programming skills. It's an array of next moves, and it's currently empty. Okay, so if this dot moving is, if you want to move somewhere and you're already moving, then we're going to add to it. We're going to push the new direction on the list. It's a queue. See how that works? And then if you're done moving, then this dot move dot, and we're taking off from the front. So I think the keyword for that is JavaScript array take from front. Unshift. Shift removes the first item in an array and returns that item. So it's shift. It's going to move those there in the front, and then this direction, and I don't have to remove the next one because it automatically is removed when you do shift, right? Shift removes the first item and returns that item. Note. It removes it. Okay, great. So I'm also going to set this dot is moving equals false. This is important to put the logic in the piece player, in the piece file. So here's the world file. It really shouldn't be accessing this really inner variable of a piece. This is bad programming style to say my player dot my piece dot is moving, because you're really reaching into the internals of the piece, and the piece should manage its own internals. So instead, I'm going to call done moving, which will automatically set it to false and move it. So now I'm not going to have any bugs. That's the feature of that addition. So now we crash. This should be here. Now it says can't read x of undefined. It actually pushed. Oh, if. So there was no next move. Thinking about this here, because I've just realized that every time the loop goes through, I'm calling done moving if you haven't moved, which is too many times. If this dot next move is not equal to an empty array, then move. That's not how you do not equals. I program in too many languages. Cannot read x of undefined still. Try refreshing again. There, that fixed it. So it. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. That's the best feature. Let's think about this. Let's put a breakpoint here in done moving. It's going to be called way too often. So direction is being called it shouldn't be calling move right now. Is there a call stack here? I would like to have a call stack. Yeah, here's the call stack. Came from done moving. Look, I said if it's not equal to empty array, and you ran this code even though it's not equal to empty array. Maybe I could just do this, because an empty array automatically returns false. Nope. Let's put the breakpoint right here. Okay, this dot next moves. What are you? You're an empty array. Let's try dot length, right? What kind of JavaScript noob doesn't know to take the length of his own array? There. It works. And now it's doing weird things. Whoa! I don't know exactly what it's doing. That's awesome. Do you know why it's doing that, guys? I do. Because I'm saying, oh, move here. I think it's because I'm actually able to move to these locations. Knight moves has a 0, 0. so it says, oh, I can move there. I can move there by going nowhere. Fast. And so it's queuing up moves to go nowhere. There we go. There we go. Now it doesn't do weird things. So when my mouse is over the square where the knight is, it was saying, oh, if I move 0, 0, then I will get there. So it was adding those in the queue of moves to make. So the queue is getting super, 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 super long. And this works now, although that was kind of weird. It's a little iffy. I definitely never moused up to that corner. What? I'm trying to figure out what makes this thing tick. Looks like I can just... This is weird. I mean, it's kind of fun to play, but... Knights cannot catch mice. That's what we learned from this. Let's try it with the keyboard. Okay, so it worked. Down and down. And it queues that up. Down, up, 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 up. So it needs to move in the correct direction, otherwise it looks really weird. So it is queuing up the moves, and it is working. It's just really weird. So I'm going to let you guys try this now. I'm going to publish this code, added wonky movement animation. And I'm going to publish this right now to ChessWhiz TV, which is this button here. So if you guys want to, you can try this weird thing, and you can give me suggestions on how to fix it, because obviously there's a way to fix this. Clearly, the knight needs to move correctly diagonally as opposed to perfectly diagonally and then straight. But if you now browse to chesswiz.tv, loading up here, then you can click Arcade and then click Play Now, and you can try this. So enjoy. All you viewers, there's actually 36 people watching right now. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm surprised this many people are interested in this slow going, but now you can play Knight Chases Mouse. It's an interesting game. It's not the game I was intending to play. This is your knight, and you're trying to move it with the mouse, but it's a really unexpected, erratic behavior from the knight. So we'll fix that soon. But we won't fix it now because it's time to add bad guys. So let's do that. When we start the game, we'll add one bad guy, and that's really easy to do. Where's the world? The hard part is to know where to put it. So I can add bad guys really easily thanks to my excellent design. I'm going to put this in a reset function. Which is going to reset the state of the world. So how do you clear an array? You do this in JavaScript, that'll clear it. I wonder if there's a better way. JavaScript array clear. Because other languages have better things to do than that. This is one way. You can splice it. You can pop it one at a time. That seems bad. Well, let's do it that way. Okay, so now this.pieces.push. We're going to add a new piece, and it's going to be a pawn, and it's going to be color.black. It's an enemy pawn, and we're going to put it at 0, 0. So this is just to test it out. Now we want to call reset, which we will call at the beginning of the game. and then we'll call start. Is a black pawn going to appear? If everything is right, the black pawn should appear, and it does not. Why? Because we're not drawing the pieces. So let's draw them now. In this draw loop, which we're going to call paint now instead of draw, because I'm trying to be cool, we will paint the pieces. So let me go to my to-doer thing. See? Because look, it's in progress, so I have to work on it right now. In progress, add enemies. So in paint, let's make sure it still works. Not you. Yeah, it still works. In paint, I'm going to, this is draw each of the players. Draw each of the enemy pieces. Let's loop through. Let's copy my loop because I'm tired of typing. Interesting. I'm reading the chat. Improving skill, I will send the $5 to Thibaut. Don't worry. Some people are saying that the keyboard works, the mouse does not. Why is X used for arrow down? That's because Z and C are used for diagonally down. So you have to have a big hand to play this game. S will not work for down because knights can move so many directions. So I'm going to draw. You know how this is identical to what I'm about to paste here? Drawing a piece and drawing a player is the same. So to fix that, I'm going to not copy and paste, which is the wrong way to program. Instead, I'm going to add a function here called draw. No, not to player though, to piece. And it's going to be called paint. And all I need is the context. And then I can do this. I can say context dot draw image. And it's going to be this dot type. See how easy this is? This dot color, this dot paint X, and this dot paint Y. Bam! Now I can call this dot players I dot piece dot draw, this dot main context. I think that will work, and that will simplify world. The goal is to move complexity out of world and into the various things that can do things on their own. Let's see if this paints. Of course it fails because piece dot draw is not a function. Oh, it's because it's called paint. I keep confusing myself trying to be cool. And now paint is not a function. Well, that's a little bit more difficult. It's because I didn't save this JavaScript file. There. Okay, it works as it should. So now we can simply call this dot pieces I. Whoa, I'm coding in the wrong spot. See how easy that is? Now I'm going to paint all of those. And there's the black pawn, or not. CTX is not defined. I'm so close to the black pawn appearing. Ready? Bam! There's the black pawn. It's so cool. Mind blown. Let's go capture it. Here, here, here. Oh, I can't capture it. Here, here, here. Bam! This is why I'm not representing the chessboard that way. Improving skill. The chessboard is being represented by a list of pieces and players so that I can do this most excellent thing. So EJLaw3 says the keyboard works and the mouse does not. Yeah, I think the mouse control is broken with Firefox. I don't think you can use offset X and offset Y the way I did. So I'll fix Firefox soon. I'm not going to fix it on camera because you guys are all watching exciting programming, and fixing Firefox does not seem exciting. Also, I don't have Firefox on this computer right now. So I'll fix that in my own time. We'll do the fun programming now, but thanks for that. So let me put that in my to-do list. Fix mouse movement in Firefox. Great. That's in my to-do list. Thumbs up. Please add support for IE6. No. If I press up 3 times very fast, the animation skips in between squares. Yeah, I think it's the animation's fault. I'm going to fix the animation later as well. I have to think up how to do it. I don't want to spend all my time thinking. I want to be programming things while you guys are watching. So what do we have now? We are painting an enemy piece. We're painting all the pieces. Where's my reset? So watch this. Now I can put another black pawn at 1-1, and it will just show up. Ah, there it is. Crazy night. Crazy night. Totally crazy, totally weird and crazy. Yeah, I'm going to have to do something about that. Well, I'll think up what to do. But for now, you can control a knight with the mouse, and it works pretty well. Why does it go all the way to the corner? That's amazing. That knight is pretty smart. So we need to have a function called get destination for next enemy pawn, because we're going to capture the pawn. As soon as we do, another one will appear. Get, think about this. Thinking. I'm actually going to take a 5-minute break. So, because I need to think about this, I need to refill my water, and this is a good stopping point to start with part 2. So let me bring up my countdown timer and just put 5 minutes on it. That should be 5 minutes. Yeah. So cool. 5-minute timer. I'm going to cut this into a separate YouTube video for you YouTube viewers. So I'll see you guys soon.